Nigeria's Labour Party National Chairman Julius Abure has berated President Bola Tinubu for adopting what is described as outdated Asian style of governance for approving the delegation of 1,411 persons for climate change conference in United Arab Emirates. Abure made the remark at the award ceremony when he was honored by the Nigerian Bar Association NBA Benin branch, among other awardees who have contributed significantly to bettering the lot of a battered nation and state, and dedicated the award to Nigerian youth desirous of change. He said it is obvious that the government of President Tinubu and the APC are not willing to depart from the circumstances that have plunged the nation into economic quagmire in the past. And to talk about this, we're joined live by Titilope Akosa, who is a human rights activist. Glad to have you join me. What do you make of the COP28 conference? So far, so good.
Well, so far, I think we've made some progress, not the kind of progress we really actually want to see. We want to see a lot of progress, but I would say we've made some marked progress in terms of at least there's a decision that is saying that we should operationalize the loss and damage funds. Also, there are talks on health and climate, which we have about 145 countries also endorse the climate and health declaration. So that's before issue of climate and health was never part of the agenda. So it's already in the agenda and people are already working towards mobilizing financing for climate and health issues. Also, well, the adaptation finance really, I would say it's progressing because the last text that was out was weak, and a whole lot of us as activists really spoke against this, that we needed better, strong language. We need to understand the metrics, the finance, and everything that needed to go into it. So I would say we have some marked progress, really.
Okay, we'll go into details of the loss and damage funds approved. But regarding the criticism about the number of delegates sent to COP28. What are your thoughts about it?
I think for those who are looking at the delegates, it's laughable. Honestly, when I read what was written about the delegates, it shows ignorance on the part of those who have put out those kinds of information. They never did their work. You see, in this time and age, we have a lot of information in the space. They could have easily gone ahead to do their own, what they call it, research, and understand why we have so much. Anyway, with that 1,000 and so, it is all of us who are not sponsored by government. That should be made clear. Because in Nigeria, we have more than, I think, 12 organizations or 15 thereabout that have been accredited as an observer to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. My organization, Center for 21st Century Issues, is also accredited. And I've been accredited since 2010, even before Tinubu came. And I've been taking my delegations to COP without government. We as civil society, we've been taking our delegations. For instance, at least I have a quota to take up to 16 to 20 to COP every year. And some other CSOs even have more quota than me. So what are we talking about? So if you look at all those people under those organizations, do you want to say it is government that funded them? Do you want to say they are part of Nigeria's delegation? Those who are part of Nigeria's delegation are those that are funded by government. And rightly so. Minister for Finance, and all the relevant ministers, Minister for Environment, you can't say those ones cannot go. With all those who are in the civil servants, who are working day and night, who actually are the ones negotiating, who will bring back information to the ministers, because the ministers are never there till kingdom come. It is every 4 years they change. So if a new person comes, there should be continuity, there should be institutional memory, where the ministers, when they come, they will listen to what has been done and they can continue from that. So let me state it clearly here that even from the about 400 people that governments supported as Nigeria's delegation, they are not enough to do the work at hand. We have over 16 issues to negotiate, and they have different meetings. And people have to be in these meetings to stand and ensure that the issues and interests of Nigeria and Africa is protected. So what are we talking about? We are saying that we need more people in the space. Over the years, I think I need to say this clearly. Over the years as civil society, we've been fighting to open up the space, not only for government representatives to be in Nigeria's delegation, but also for civil society also to be in Nigeria's delegation. And the reason is this. One, we are all fighting for the same things. And civil society have the expertise to help government to realize its climate actions and ambitions when we get there. We are always there to support them to get all the financing that they need to address climate action. I will give you instances. It is civil society that supported and worked with government to come up with our strategy on low emission strategy. It is also civil society that started the Nigerian climate change law, which today, of course, has been passed. It is the Nigerian civil society actors also that have been working with government on gender and climate action plan. It is a civil society that actually coordinated and facilitated that. And today we are seeing a lot of success that is being driven by the partnership of civil society and government. And so for us, at this point in time, when government is now showing interest, when government is now showing political will, we are happy about what has happened, at least for Nigeria, in this COP28.
Okay, because of our time, just to wrap up, what do you think about the loss and damage funds approved at COP28 to help developing countries transition to cleaner energy?
I think the loss and damage is not a fund to help us transit to cleaner energy. I need to correct that. You see, when we talk about loss and damage is that damages that we incur as a result of climate-induced disasters. I'm sure you have been in this country 2 years ago when there was this terrible flood that was sweeping away houses, farmlands everywhere, and people are losing their livelihoods and things like that. Those are the kind of damages that fund is supposed to address. So we are looking at issue of early warning. We are looking at issue of planning for climate-induced disasters. We are looking at when people lose their livelihoods as a result of flooding, what should we quickly do to restore them back to where they were before the flood started? So how are we going to be addressing the issue of the spread of diseases during these floods and things like that? Those are the kind of loss and damages we were talking about. And when we are looking at such things, some of them are things that you can calculate in money's worth, while some are things that you cannot calculate in money's worth. So if you look at the amount that has been pledged so far, it is a far cry from what the whole world needs. Because it's not only in Nigeria that we are facing climate-induced loss and damage. It's all over Africa. And you know the worst part of it is that we are not the one that is causing climate change. It is some people, the developed world, that has caused climate. And that is the climate justice of it all. They need to provide the finance for us to address this loss and damage.
All right, thank you so much.
This money is so small, it's a far cry. We need more money to be mobilized, and not only that this money are mobilized, that the metrics by which this money will be allocated is also very important to us,
and that's
so that we can have access to this funding.
And that's it. We'll have to wrap it up. Thank you so much for your time on the news. Titilope Akosa, human rights activist. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.